going through my various stories that I grew up hearing, I was trying to find something that pertained to Durga Ma, and I remembered the story about how she took her different 9 forms. And I thought about elaborating on that, but as I recalled and did more research on the topic, I thought of a different point from the same story that goes a different route, but to me sends a stronger message than this is a definition of what her different forms were, and stuff like that a pundit would tell you and that you might fall asleep during. So the story that I chose is the one where Lord Ganesh was created. One day, Mother Parvati had wanted to take a bath, and so she chose one of Shiva's gunas, Nandi, to stay and guard the door for her. So she told him, don't let anyone cross into my room as I'm taking my bath. Don't let anyone enter. Don't entertain any questions. Protect my door. Protect me. So while she's taking her bath, Lord Shiva goes to find where his wife is. And as Lord Shiva approaches, Nandi tells Lord Shiva that you can't enter. And Lord Shiva doesn't bother with him and proceeds to enter. So let me ask you guys, what is the flaw with who Mother Parvati picked to protect her and to guard her bathroom?
He was a soldier of Lord Shiva.
Right. So
They know.
exactly, he's not going to confront Lord Shiva. He's not going to put up a fight. He's not going to stand down against Lord Shiva because he's Lord Shiva's gunas. So Lord Shiva enters, and Mother Parvati's startled. Even though it's her husband, she's startled because she doesn't expect anyone to be there. And she sees him as not only as her husband, but as her lord. She respects him, and she doesn't want him to see her like that. So she proceeds to request that he leave. Eventually he leaves, and shortly after she exits. She's a little upset as to why he was allowed to enter in the first place. So she goes and she tells Nandi, well, if you're not going to go do your job, you might as well not be here. So she shoos him away. She goes inside and she meditates a little bit, trying to figure out what her solution is. As she meditates, she begins to sweat. When she begins to sweat, she starts pulling it off her body and playing with the mud. Well, the sweat from her body and the mud start to form a kind of paste, and she sculpts it into the image of a little boy. So she makes this image of a little boy, places it down, and she invokes life into it. Thus, Ganesh is born. So she tells Ganesh, stay by my door, protect me, don't let anyone enter. So once again, Lord Shiva wants to figure out where his wife is. So Lord Shiva goes, sees this little boy, and who's telling him that you cannot enter. My mother has sent me out to protect her and not let anyone enter. So Lord Shiva's wondering what's going on. So anyways, he leaves and he sends his gunas to come in, take care of this little boy, figure out why he's here. How is a little boy in the mountains? How did he get here, and how is he claiming to be my wife's son? So the gunas go and they persuade him, try to get any reasoning from him. It's not making sense. He's telling him that I'm protecting my mother, you cannot enter, etc., etc. So then an encounter happens. They begin to fight, and they go back limping back to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva, seeing this, is now furious, goes ahead, confronts Lord Ganesh himself, and goes ahead and throws his trishul, taking off his head. Right before he does that, Lord Ganesh calls for his mom, and just like any of us know, what happens when you call for your mom? Immediately she appears. So she runs out, she sees her son laying on the floor, lifeless, and immediately she grows furious. She grows into 9 different forms. That's where the 9 forms are created, and that's where I was going to stop the story. But I thought, thinking further, and I saw a different point to it. So she's furious, she's going ahead, and she's saying that she's going to destroy the world. She's so angry, how could this happen to her son? So at this point, all the devatas are coming down, because what's going to happen if the whole world's destroyed? They start pleading with her, they start begging with her. Lord Brahma, who's the creator, begs her, don't destroy everything that we've worked so hard to create. Eventually he turns to Lord Shiva and says, bring back life into Lord Ganesh. And Shiva goes, of course I can do that, but how can I bring back life to him without a head? because when he threw the trishul, it went out into the cosmos, taking the head with it. So it's impossible to find that head. So Lord Shiva turns to Vishnu, tells him, go north, and the first creature you see, take its head and return back to me. So Lord Vishnu carries on his duty to find this head. He comes across an elephant. That's the first creature he sees. And he ponders to himself, how can I take the life of an innocent elephant? So he closes his eyes, and he realizes that the elephant is Arawat. He was cursed, and he fell from heaven. So he figured by chopping off this elephant's head, he would not only get a head for Ganesh, but he would relieve him of that curse. So he proceeds back with the head, and the ritual takes place to place the head back on to Lord Ganesh. From then on, he was blessed that his puja must be done before anyone else's. So I found 3 different morals in the story. 1, don't anger a woman, because usually that doesn't ever end well. 2, don't act in haste. Just because you don't understand something or the meaning doesn't make sense to you doesn't mean you should get angry, you should get upset, you should act on it. Try to figure out what's going on first before you come to a conclusion where your actions may not be able to be reversed. Because you can't take back words, or in most places you can't put back a head. So the 3rd moral is that don't underestimate the power of a mother's love. She's always there for you, just the way that she got furious when harm came to her son is the same way I'm sure all of our mothers would have easily gotten furious if something happened to any of us. They say, clean your room, do this, do that. We get upset with them, and we forget the value and the power that they're capable of. Through all the stories that I know and that I've heard, I've never once heard of a character or a lord or a deity or anyone having died, not injured, but died and brought back to life, except for this one story, which really shows you the power of a mother's love.